first got together, it's kind of hard to explain what we're doing here. I guess you could say it's, would you guys say pros and cons of each, or bigger influence, or how would you guys describe this?
I would say pros and cons.
TV's as big as movies right now, you know. So.
That's basically what the show's based on. Is TV as big as movies? Does it have the same impact on people's day-to-day lives? I personally know people that get so involved in characters in major TV shows that when one of them dies, it ruins their week. Where you went to a movie, when's the last time you've heard of somebody going to a movie? Minus maybe Infinity Wars, where it like ruined somebody's week.
Probably Force Awakens.
Yeah, Last Jedi probably ruined a lot of people's. They're just like, what? And,
but those are storied franchises. It's been out, you know, everything. But last time you've actually watched a movie that really didn't have a lot of history behind it, that a major death or, you know,
a character that's been built.
Yeah.
In other words, Han Solo example.
Yeah. But
so with that, I mean, literally, I kind of tend to think TV is bigger at this point. For one, it's free minus what you're paying for, minus what you're streaming. Two, it's something you can enjoy. You know, I get up take a lot of slack for watching Big Brother, but the reason I like Big Brother, and I've been watching 12 years, is to get 3 episodes a week. So you're constantly getting to watch, you know, episode after episode. And if you enjoy it, you really like that. Same thing with this. It's turned into Game of Thrones, guys. It's turned into mini movie marathon after mini movie marathon. I think it is. I know it was. I don't think. I know it's the same way during Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, Sons of Anarchy. These are
Breaking Bad,
Walking Dead's another one.
I mean, you even have people get together like they're watching a movie. They'll go out to bars and everything, and the bars will host, you know, Walking Dead parties, Game of Thrones parties. They hosted Breaking Bad parties just to have people sit around and watch it at the bar. And it might as well be like just going to the movie with a crowd of people in the screening room.
And I think you said something the other day that really needs to be brought out. It's like the amount of time it takes to film these, that it's impossible to have character development within a 2.5 hour segment of, as you use Jamie Lannister. Explain what you mean by that.
You take, like I said, Jamie Lannister. He's one of the perfect examples. You have a character on a show that from day one, very first episode, Game of Thrones has been one of the most important characters in the show. I mean, he's an action he did at the end of the very first episode is pretty much what started the entire war, pushing Bran out the window. And we already find out, you know, the incest and all that stuff. And he's a hated character. Then after, let's see, what was it, 10 episodes at first before they cut him down. So after about 20 to 25 hours, halfway through season 3, all of a sudden he's turning into one of people's favorite characters. They developed so much more and make him such a deeper character. He's striving for his father's approval at all times. You know, he has to battle with the love between his sister. You know, is that he has to keep that hidden because he's a Kingsguard and he can't have an actual relationship with anybody. So there's so many things going on.
More his sister.
Yeah, but he can't, you know, there's a lot of things. His whole life is just full of conflict. And by now, we watched in this past season, him walking out like after his sister threatens to kill him, and suddenly everybody's got this fear. Oh God, Jamie's going going to meet up with all them by himself. He's going to die on the way. Everybody's worried.
And you see the snow start hitting his hand.
Yeah, and then you watch something.
Then you know it's real.
You watch a movie like, I'm trying to think of a recent movie, that had a major death in it that wasn't part. Or actually, I will say even Infinity War. Whereas you have somebody like, and I'm sorry guys, it's been out almost 3 months.
Yeah.
This is a major spoiler. The movie's made over $2 billion. We can talk about it. Gamora. We only have like 2 other movies that they feature her as a character, and yes, it was a shocking death, but she didn't have as much development as someone on a TV show could.
She was likable, and she definitely didn't have enough airtime to be hated and then flip to being likable.
Yeah.
Her sister could turn out like
that. They
that.
didn't really give enough.
She can't now.
They really don't have enough time in movies to do that kind of. We're talking 2-hour movies, whereas a show now that we've got at least over 60 hours of.
And here's the thing about TV. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. I'm just telling you, my favorite thing ever put behind a film ever in history is Sopranos. More than any movie, more than anything, I've never felt more attached, alive, whatever you want to say, watching something than Sopranos. I didn't watch Sopranos live because by the time I had heard about it, I would never had HBO back then, so I waited till they finished and then I binged them. Back when Blockbuster had to get the 2 movies out at once,
Yeah.
I'd go get 2 discs, and the next day I was there getting 2 discs, and the next day I was there getting 2 discs. So with that being said, I mean, like, Gandolfini died. That was a sad day because I knew there was not going to be another Sopranos movie, a Sopranos show. You're taking away the major centerpiece of the whole thing. It's based on this man and how he copes with day-to-day mob life, but also how he copes with his home life.
Yeah.
And the stress it puts under him and FBI investigations and things like that. But like you said, you don't have time to develop characters like that. And I think that's why people fall in love. And I'll go back to Sons of Anarchy. When Opie died, and I know you hadn't seen Sons of Anarchy, but I remember on my Facebook, it looked like somebody
you knew died.
I'm telling you, it looked like somebody that was like prom queen or something in high school died. Everybody's just flooded your face, and everybody's like, "This sucks. I ain't watching this no more." Blah. And I'm like, "Oh, come on now," But with that being said, Peebs, I want to bring you in right here. Give us your take on this subject. If you don't mind us interrupting your phone play right fast, man.
No, I'm messing with stuff for the actual stream, so it is.
He's being the tech guy right now.
I'm having to take stuff out. I agree with most of what was said. I don't think TV's really. I think TV and movies are a very different thing because most of the time with TV, like I said, you get a bunch of character development. You get, even in most of the big shows, maybe minus, I'm trying to think of just like I don't know, there may be a couple in Game of Thrones, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. But you get filler episodes. You don't get really filler movies. I mean, Ant-Man. Ant-Man and Wasp, it was very much
Rogue One?
Huh?
Rogue One?
Oh.
But we're talking about franchises though too.
Yeah.
Like, yes, but you do get some filler in a movie, even a 3-hour movie. There's always that.
Yeah, but you
that
don't get
15-20 minutes where it's just dragging.
Yeah, what's happening next?
You don't get a whole episode dedicated to like why Jim bought this sandwich or something like this, and then he's got to return the sandwich, and it's just a bunch of filler bullshit, which is really my least favorite thing in life. And if anyone has ever watched anime, I'm going to be a nerd here, but you get a lot of filler, and you get filled up with filler, and filler can be good. Filler can show other sides of characters. It can show a comedic side to a serious character. It can show, maybe a badass side to someone who you didn't think was any cool at all. But to my point, movies and TV are very different. Movies, you want probably 2 to 3 hour escape from reality. TV, you don't really get that unless you're watching something like HBO. You're going to get commercials thrown in your face the whole time. You're gonna get your dose of reality while you're watching TV. With cable TV, of course. There's streaming services like Netflix and all of that where you don't have commercials. But what I'm saying is you're going to a movie for an escape. If you're watching cable TV, you're gonna get reality thrown in your face, and that's one reason that really just turns me off from most TV is I don't want to deal with that shit.
Let me ask you another question. Your personal opinion. Don't you think that the writers of these shows, though, if you're budgeting 80, 90, 100 hours worth of material, like Sopranos had 86 episodes, for example, none of which was really less than an hour, it was all an hour or more. So with that being said, don't you think they have an extremely difficult job to put out 90 hours plus of material?
Yes and no. On one hand, you have what Netflix has been doing with the Marvel franchise. They already have at least some things to pull from. Yeah, Game of Thrones had stuff to pull from.
But something like Sopranos didn't.
Now, with that said, yes, but the thing is, you already have an idea of what you want to do. Say 10 episode season. You already have an idea of what you want to do at the beginning of that, and almost all 10 episodes are written right there on the spot. And they may change things up and go in and do rewrites or something as they're shooting. When you'll probably never notice it because they film all those 10 episodes, or they end up filming like, you know, the last couple of episodes. By the time the first 2 or 3 have aired, they're still filming the first of it. So I mean, they can automatically see, and that's why you may even notice a drastic change towards the end. Well, people's reactions was this in the early thing. We got to go back and do reshoots for later in the season.
I just think it'd be extremely difficult to do that, though. I mean, personally, what do you think?
What, to write for a show?
For 90, I mean, not
90 hours. I mean, given knowing a little bit in depth of what they do, I mean, they have it planned out. They don't go into starting a show being like, we're going to go 90 episodes with this show or something like that. They
play it by ear.
They go into a show being like, we have this season planned out. This is the plan for this season. And then, you know, like he was saying, some of the more syndicated things, they'll start some episodes, and then, you know, you even then get sometimes like a fall break. It's still considered the same season, even though you have a break in between it. And then you could see a drastic change. And then, I mean, by fans' reactions, which if you react to all fans, then don't do it. But you can see a change sometimes in shows.
The second, like the breaks and things like that, the second half of Walking Dead each season, they're actually filming that whole second half while the first half is already on the air. They pretty much are filming almost year round.
You think they're playing into some of the reactions or dislikes?
Some of it they are.
Or do you think they're stubborn? They're going to go, we're going forward.
And as well as the writers, it does help because
you'd have to have a humble.
Well, as you know, the difficulty. What helps is a show like that, whereas a movie has, you know, 2 to 3 screenwriters. A show on those scale, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, any of the Netflix shows, even House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, you know, they're non-Marvel properties. Sopranos, all your HBO shows, Westworld. They also have, the writers on that is usually about 15 people that will sit around all week.
Brainstorm.
And just sit and just brainstorm around the table before they start filming this particular episode.
Let's go pros on movies now in this argument.
Pros on movies. Like I said when I got introduced after messing with a bunch of shit, movies, they're an escape. You get a 2 to 3 hour escape window. That's your time. You go sit in the theaters or sit at home. You don't really want to deal with any shit. You're gonna sit there and watch the movie. You're gonna enjoy it. Also, I think one reason movies appeal to somebody is, say, even a series. Let's bring up Lord of the Rings, 3 movies. Say your friend at work, you know, saw Return of the King, said it was amazing. Well, you only have 2 movies to go watch. Say someone's like, yeah, I've just watched, you know, season 7 of blah 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 blah, and you're like, well, I've got to go catch up 7 seasons of this show to watch it, and you know, some shows are on, you know, 10, 15 episodes a season, and that's no. But with movies,
up in 20.
Yeah, some even get up into 20s. But with movies, you get that escape. You get a less thing if you want to get caught up in a series. I mean, outside of maybe a few horror franchises, there's not that many movies that go more than 3 or 4 in a series. Harry Potter, but I mean, Dark Knight had a trilogy. Lord of the Rings was a trilogy. I mean, usually you have a trilogy to watch, and that's not too much to take in at one time. While going back and watching, you know, several seasons of a show is a lot to take in at one time.
I'm going to tell in on something you just said, and let's call it what it is. Modern day, you call it ADHD, whatever you want to call it. People's attention span has definitely shrunk over the years.
Yes.
And with that being said, I think that kind of leans to his point. People don't want to sit here and they're like, they hear people at their office or at their work or at the gym. I'm like, man, did you see what Daenerys did, dude? She took these dragons and she flew up there. And they're like, first of all, you got a little blonde girl riding on a dragon, and she's flying to these other places, and she's killing people. How much of this shit do I got to watch to make this make sense to me? Whereas he goes, hey, did you see the new Sicario? Nah, bro, is it good? Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's got great acting. It's got a great soundtrack. The movie's straight sick. Plenty of action. Plenty of plot. Gotta go see it. All right, I'll go see it. Do I need to see the first one? Hell yeah. Rent it. We'll stream it. Watch the first one. Go see the second one. I guarantee you, if you're wrong, I'll pay for your ticket. Boom, done. A lot easier. In and out. With modern day people's attention span dropping at a rapid pace, that's a pro to what he just said.
I think that's where the weekly format actually does help with people, though. The hour episode weekly format for TV shows helps. Whereas you have somebody like Netflix who's like, we'll give you a whole season, here's 13 hours. And for some reason, you would think that would hit people's attention spans, but everybody you know that watches these shows, that first day, they will spend half the day watching. If they can't finish it that first day, they'll do like 7 or 8 episodes, 7 or 8 hours of, say, Punisher, and then do the last 3 or 4 hours the next day. I've done it. But they build up so much hype for it, and you're like, it goes back to that whole... When you think about TV, Netflix is actually kind of doing it right, even though then you have to wait a year and a half for a new season.
You mean just by dropping it all at once?
Yeah, and then that way you're still so involved with it that little window comes up and Netflix is judging you, asking you why are you still watching or whatever that window is.
Yeah, are you still here? Window? You're like, keep going.
Don't judge my life. I'm still here watching TV.
And then you got somebody like on the opposite end of that spectrum, like Game of Thrones, who just showed their balls and said, you know what? You're going to wait a solid year. Then you're going to wait another year. And then we will release this. You've got to have a pair. You've got to have a cult following. And you've got to have some brass to do that to your fans.
I think only a show...
Supply and demand.
I think only a show like Game of Thrones would work like that.
I think a lot of people understood, though, because I think each episode next year's costing somewhere between like 70 to 100 million per episode, but that show honestly spends 100 million per episode. That show is the closest we have to movies on television,
and it basically is going to be movies now.
Yeah, it's 2-hour episodes.
Yeah,
but they got the following and the backing to do it. And let's dive a little bit deeper. Can you name me, as opposed, because this is something we hadn't touched on a lot. Can you name me a comedic TV series on TV that has a cult following like that would go to the ends of the earth as opposed to movies?
One, right off the bat, I'm not a fan of the show.
Bang Theory?
No, Friends. The moment they even toy with the idea of a Friends reunion, how does the internet react?
Blows up.
How do your friends that like the show react?
It blows up.
Friends is the comedy show. Home Improvement. Normally, it is sitcoms that have that cult following. Dramas never really had that big of a following until The Walking Dead blew up, until Game of Thrones blew up, and that's 10 years ago. Now suddenly they
just don't seem to have that bite like some of these other shows, though. You know what I mean? At Friends, I'll give you that one. Two and a Half Men had a good.
Has it.
Oh, Big Bang does, but it takes a special fan to really get into Big Bang. You want some of this?
Yeah. But the thing with Big Bang, though, is also the good thing with sitcoms is they're just like little different moments in these people's lives every week. It's not a continuing story.
One that I'll bring up that you didn't, that I believe has probably the biggest cult following.
MASH.
MASH is close, but I think it actually has a bigger following. This show does. I would say Seinfeld.
Yeah. It's massive. It is. You see a lot of guys in their 30s and 40s that quote, I didn't get it. It was too dry. I don't think Jerry Seinfeld's funny at all. I wasn't into it, but you're right. There's tons of people in their 30s and 40s right now probably watching this. It's probably saying, that guy, bro, this shit's awesome. You know what I mean?
Cheers did. I mean,
Cheers did.
Cheers did. Even spun off one of the greatest comedy shows ever with Frasier.
Yeah. Stop me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't the MASH finale one of the most watched things in television history?
I think it still may very well be for the final episode of a series.
I'm almost positive on that.
It's still one of the saddest things to ever watch.
Yeah. Then they did a bad spin-off show on that.
But I just noticed comedy just don't have. I mean, they have good followings, but I don't think they have. If Jon Snow dies, your whole week's ruined.
Oh no,
followings. You know what I mean?
No. There was one, I can't remember, where they actually did kill somebody in one of those like sitcoms or something, and it literally blew people away. Roseanne, when you found out when you found out Dan was dead, that completely changed. Like you look at, go ahead.
MASH 1983 had 105.9 million viewers. It was called Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen. And it was not topped until 2010 with the Super Bowl. So
wow,
it took 21 years for it to be topped.
And it took a Super Bowl to beat it.
That's actually
And it
that's 31 years actually.
Oh yeah. No.
Wow.
That's 37 years.
Yeah.
Our math is terrible.
Yeah, we suck.
And it only beat it by 0.1%.
0.1%?
106 million versus 105.9 million.
Wow.
And that's a Super Bowl.
But yeah, the Roseanne
Packers?
thing.
Huh?
Packers Steelers?
What? 2020 Super Bowl.
But that Roseanne thing, every TV guide, every even Newsweek, big like news magazines, were talking about that, how that was such a huge thing in TV. So yeah, they do have those, but that's also the show that had been running for a good probably 9-10 years at the time.
The show,
Roseanne had been going forever at that time.
her show was good.
It was the Saints and Colts.
Saints and Colts.
I actually remember that game.
Yeah.
What year was Packers Steelers in? 12?
That was when the Colts were. We're getting way off topic
Yeah,
here.
it's okay. But anyways, so let's bring this back for a second.
I agree with your assessment when, you found out that the whole last season of Roseanne was just her dreaming, pretty much. No, is it Roseanne?
If the internet had been around then, well, it was around, but if we'd had social media then, that would have broke the internet, like literally.
So let me ask you guys this question: which do you guys prefer? Peeps, lead us.
I prefer anime. Is that a
Manga technically has TV and movies because you got two different forms of anime.
But you're not going to Gadsden Cinemas to watch anime.
I drove to Birmingham to watch a Dragon Ball Z movie.
I did too, so I can't say much.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big anime nerd. I'll binge watch a whole, 26, 13 episode, whatever, how many episodes. If I'm into it, if not, I quit about 2 episodes in. ADHD, I actually haven't, but I will binge watch a whole series and not because I don't have a lot.
So you're leaning TV basically.
But if I had, besides really like Netflix shows, Game of Thrones, Runaways on Hulu, I would prefer really to watch a movie over TV. But
besides a major show you like.
Besides a major show.
So as a whole, you'd be more movie then.
As a whole, 80% of the time, I'd probably rather watch a movie than TV.
I'm still in the middle. I will straddle this one.
As in 50-50 or 60-40?
I would say as in 50-50. Shows, I'm not a fan of your weekly episodic stuff, whereas something like Game of Thrones, Runaways, which Runaways gave us 3 episodes at the start, but something like that, I will actually sit down and wait week to week. But most shows, I would honestly just as soon wait until the end of the season. I think Walking Dead might be the only other one I go week to week. Wait till the end of the season and binge it all, because we know after a month, like an HBO show, I'm thinking something Westworld, something non-Game of Thrones. We already know at the end of the season, you go to your HBO app, HBO Now, HBO Go, it's all going to be up there anyway.
It's going to be up there the next day.
Yeah, and then a couple months later, you get full seasons and stuff dropped on Hulu and dropped on Netflix anyway. So, but quick point to what he said earlier about having to catch up on things. That's the reason. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a Supernatural fan because I didn't find out about it until it was in like season 882. Because it feels like it's been running that long.
I will give Supernatural one thing. Anytime you bring in Scooby Doo, I am watching that episode.
I have seen that episode.
I don't know what it is, but I want to watch it. I hadn't seen it either. Myself, I got to go TV. And here's why. The word iconic keeps coming up. We have iconic movies, yes. What's the latest for Marlon Brando and The Godfather? Nothing. What's the latest from? You can say what's hot right now. Captain America, Avengers. Good. Let's go 30 years down the road. What's going to be hot from there? You know what I mean?
Quite possibly the same thing.
Yeah, quite. Look,
They could remake it.
the mouse is literally just doing this, like
Yeah, the
cashing
mouse-
checks.
Right.
And,
So
The mouse is pulling strings. I mean, we got, not to really cut you off, sorry about that, but we got the third, highest grossing domestic movie with
Defending or Force Awakens.
Force Awakens after
That's worldwide.
after 10 years.
10 years of
Since
an
Revenge of the
absence.
Sith.
Yeah. So I think we really could be seeing a age in movies where we're at it. We're just going to get
Certain franchises are just going to stick around. There's the fatigue, not blockbuster fatigue, but the fatigue in brands like comic book movies, Star Wars movies, things like that may never actually happen.
They could. Here's my point on it. Godfather, what's the latest in the last 20 years? Nothing. Goodfellas, what's the latest? Nothing. If I wanted to introduce somebody 15 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now from Sopranos or Boardwalk Empire or Game of Thrones, guess what? They're going to open up a whole new world. Mm-hmm. Not just a 2 hour. That's not a world. That's hey, this is awesome, man. That was a great movie. And then that's it. Guess what? They're going to spend, unless they're on meth, they're going to spend weeks. This is going to alter their world, their reality a little bit because they got to take time out of their day each day to go watch these classic, unbelievable episodes. It's hard for me to describe what TV has done. They do a great job of literally, I mean, that's what entertainment in general is about, is to take your mind off reality, put you in this alternate world, and make you feel a part of this. Like when Jon Snow and them is trapped and the walls are caving in, you're like, bro, what the hell? And then when she flies up over with the dragons and shit, everything changes just like that. And you're sitting there living through this shit. We knew she was coming at that point, but as that episode started, you didn't know she was coming. Yeah. So you're sitting here and you're like, shit, bro. So now my point is, if you're watching that series 30 years from now, and you've watched every episode to that point, which she did at that point didn't even trust Jon Snow. And then she was like, even Tyrion's telling her, don't do this. Please don't do it. We can't lose you. Please stay here. She's like, no, I'm doing it. Boom, gone. So like to that point, you're sitting there, you're like, shit, bro, like this is too much. This is too intense. You can still have that thing 30 years from now, and you can still have those same feelings and bring somebody else into that. But guess what? You've got to watch about 65 hours to have that feeling.
Yeah, I've got
you had at that point.
I've got a good counterpoint to that, and it kind of is to the point me and Brad brought up about that. But I feel to that point, as much as I don't like giving Star Wars as much credit as I'm about to, I think something like Star Wars does that. I mean, we have 8-10 movies now that you can go back and be like, hey, watch these, bro. You never seen Star Wars? What the fuck?
The MCU is actually...
And then I was about to bring up MCU. I mean, if you want a movie universe to be immersed into, I mean, I think MCU is on par with just about anything that's on television.
My only rebuttal to that is not one of us in this panel named any of those movies in our top 5 except for you and Empire.
Well, the thing is, especially with the MCU, I was working at a store that sold movies that sold used movies when Infinity War came out. And it was literally every day people coming in, do you have any of... They brought the list of the missing MCU movies they haven't seen. Because somebody wanted to take...
book?
Somebody... No.
a replays.
Yeah,
okay.
And they would come in and say, hey, my friend wants to take me to see this, but I've only seen... these 4, do you have the rest of these other, 17 movies? They would have the list with them, or do you have any of the MCU movies? I've never seen them, but I really want to see Infinity War because somebody...
That's probably the closest thing I think we can agree on.
That definitely is the closest thing.
Because there's 18 movies, so that's the closest thing. I still think that if you watch Game of Thrones 30 years from now, you still got more material.
Oh, yeah, easily. But that's the thing. We still have 4 more years planned for MCU movies, too.
That's good. I think they're going to go in a little bit different direction. But with that being said, this is just like last night, it's a tough one. It's one that you got pros and cons on each side. I think it depends on the individual, obviously. But with and guys, we got a guy that likes Princess Diary and one that likes Pearl Harbor. So we're not talking down to nobody at this point right here. I'm just throwing those two movies out because
The guy spent this episode talking about anime.
right. So we're not. I promise you guys, we're not trying to talk down. We're giving our opinion. So with that being said, I lean movies slightly. I lean TV slightly. He leans movies bulk of the time, but he's got phases. Bradley is a straight up 50-50 guy. We're split then. That's it. I think we're split on this issue.
That's actually a good thing.
Y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
I think we are. I mean, someone that leans more.
We
We're
both
TV.
see pros and cons on both sides. We both see where if a guy come up to me and he's like, "You son of a bitch, you don't understand. Like, movies are better." I'm not going to argue with him. You've got a legitimate argument.
I'm not arguing with
Because
him.
I'm like at about 60-40 or 55, like 44. Like I'm close. I just kind of think that this movies bring your whole life into another reality, and it takes you anywhere from, depending on how good the show is, anywhere from 50 to 90 hours to get it out of your system.
Yeah.
I think, I guess we'll go to closing thoughts. I think we'll see really in the next probably 10 years with what MCU does and if Star Wars can, if they can build on just their amount of an extended universe. I mean, we have it in comics, we have it in
With Rogue One, Solo, the
yeah.
side films.
I think Solo's the best one.
And we have, more trilogies planned, and I want an Old Republic one personally.
Now that
I would love an older Republic.
that would be nasty.
Some Darth Bane.
Yeah, but
That would be nasty.
I think we'll see in 10 years because by then we'll also have Game of Thrones spin-off shows because we've been promised those already. We'll see if something like that, I mean, given this argument 10 years ago, I would easily say TV because we didn't have something like the MCU. We had...
The only thing that could compete would have been Star Wars.
Yeah, we didn't have, this universe
And you only
set
had
up.
6 of those at that point.
You didn't have universes set up in front of you like you do with MCU Star Wars. I mean, I'm trying to keep, book movies out of it because, you could bring up Lord of the Rings,
And then the Hobbit trilogy.
Hobbit trilogy, Harry Potter, all of that. But those are all based on source material and all have,
Something with MCU, though, too. So.
Yeah. But MCU, they
Amalgam
diverged
with
to
all their
that.
source
Yeah.
material.
Really, why I would lean to movies, and I'll close with this and give it over to Brad, is just to a casual person, like you mentioned, a lot of people nowadays, I think it's kind of the technology age, not really so much ADHD, even though I have ADHD. But I think we lean more towards instant gratification, and I think movies give us instant gratification over having to wait the next day or next week for a show. So I think movies for that reason. And Brad?
Like I said, I'm torn 50-50. The instant gratification thing is a very good talking point, and I think that's why you have the people that also helps the
Netflix
the
followers.
Netflix people that go and they binge the whole show when they come out. Your Luke Cages and your Jessica Jones, even your House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, Sense8, they're originals. At the same time, it gives you that feeling of the movie, even though you spent 13 hours instead of 2 watching a movie. Now, movies, like I said, do give you that whole, I'm out of the house, I'm here, I'm in a theater, I'm just fully immersed in what I see on the screen instead of sitting at home with distractions going around you at all time, your phone going off, checking it while you're trying to watch TV, the kids running around, dog needs to go out to be walked or something like that.
Commercials.
So that's why I'm somewhat balanced between the two. They're two different mediums, but they are getting very close to being one and the same in some extent.
I agree. Telling him what he said, he made good points on both sides. He made great points for movies. I make great points for TVs, in my opinion. I think that it's an alternate reality, it's an alternate universe that can submerge your life, and it's going to take a month or so to watch a great series, even if you binge watch them. Again, we don't condone anybody doing drugs unless you're on meth or something crazy that's going to keep you wired and watching this stuff.
Lots and lots of
I've got some coffee in there that could probably rival meth. But with that being said, I lean movies I lean TV because the names Jax Teller, Daenerys, Tony Soprano, these are people that have captured people's lives. These are people that, let's call it what it is. People walk around with a chip on their shoulder because they watch Game of Thrones or because they watch Sopranos, and they're wanting to run into somebody who watches it so they can have that banter back and forth. They want to sit down at a coffee house and look, dude, can you believe this, and this happened? This is what I think is going to happen. With movies, it's like you can talk about what's going to happen, but then you get 2 hours and it's over.
Yeah,
I think we got a good point on that.
It's banter back and forth is important to me, and enjoying it all as the whole. Let's find out what happens. You know what I mean? It's like a big football game. Like, I'm a huge Gators fan. Everybody knows. Stop with it. I knew it was coming. Just chill out before y'all start dogging me out. But before big games, you're sitting there watching and you're like, you're nervous. You're nervous as hell, and you're like, your palms are sweaty and shit. But you're gonna know 3 hours from now, 3.5 hours from now, you're about to find out.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with movies, with shows. Hell no. We'll be talking about this for 7-8 more weeks.
To compare it to a football game is like, yes, that's a good comparison for a movie. Now, the entire season is a good comparison for the show.
Yeah.
Side of the argument.
Inside
like
of the
you're
season.
watching somebody gets automatically ranked at number 1 in the AP polls to begin of the season, and then watching somebody, and this isn't a shot at any school just because I'm a fan of their rivals. But I'm going to say this just because the year Auburn started out ranked at number 1, and slowly, whether it's by injury, whether it's other teams proving that they were better than anybody thought they were going to be, with upsets and things, it's just you watch it as it goes, so it's this more dramatic, drawn-out process, like a TV show is.
And I'm going to take shots for saying this, but I'm going to say it. Westworld was Auburn this year.
I think
because
better, actually.
if any, I agree because they at least had some accomplishments.
Yeah.
If anybody watched that show coming in, it was the number 1 show. Like, everybody was like, this can rival, if they do it right, it can rival Game of Thrones because the way they did the first season. I was sitting there watching, I was like, I've never seen this on film before. This shit's unreal. Thank you. It's something refreshing. Has nothing to do with gangsters. Has nothing to do with dragons. This is something refreshing. This is an alternate universe. It's refreshing. It's new. It's something that's captured me. I couldn't stop watching the first season. About the 3rd episode of the 2nd season, I'm sitting here going, what in the hell have they done to this show? I'm going to keep watching it. But it's also like a toothache that you can't stop messing with your tongue.
It's a car wreck. You can't. You just
it is. And I'm sitting here now, and then I swear to God, this is a true story. I was on that recliner in there, and I was watching, and all of a sudden I seen the words pop up that said season finale, and I'm like, this shit's about to end, and this is what I'm saying. I'm gonna watch this episode, and if they can't send in some savior at the end to save this episode like they did in the first season, the show was excellent, and then the ending blew everybody's mind. So I'm like, if these pieces of shit can't bring in somebody to save this, and dude, guess what? That episode did this. And then all of a sudden the credits rolled. And I'm sitting here like, wow. That's why you have to give props to Sons, Game of Thrones, Sopranos. You didn't have that.
Yeah.
You didn't have that season that was absolute trash. Name me a season of game that you've absolutely hated.
There hasn't been one, but I loved Dexter, and I can go ahead and tell you season 3 of Dexter was the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Oh, the last season of Dexter was pretty terrible.
Same thing with Sons of Anarchy, especially in the South. Everybody loves it. Season 3 of it was atrocious. They went to Ireland. Nobody watched it. Didn't like it. That's probably when you stopped watching.
I actually watched past that point.
Okay, that was awful. So
Long-winded there.
we are. We're closing it up.
I think there's a show that had a huge influence on a ton of people's lives and a ton of media that we didn't even bring up. And I feel like we need Breaking Bad.
We brought it up.
I mentioned it earlier.
I think you just mentioned it, but I mean, we've every time we've gone down a list, it's been Sopranos and Game of Thrones and all that.
Breaking Bad's pretty much what AMC, a channel known to show nothing but movies all the time, come out with Breaking Bad and took the whole world by storm. And after that, we got Hell on Wheels, Preacher, Walking Dead. Like, suddenly they're just hit after hit after hit with their TV shows.
I think the way they did it, they made a guy who's struggling, who's poor, and then he's doing something illegal to get money to help his own cause of cancer. Which is kind of
feel at times.
Which is kind of genius. I think that's great
A
writing.
regular person.
Yeah.
Which, thank you. That helps my TV argument. Thank you. We're going to close out. Guys, please hit the subscribe button. Please, if you like what we say or don't like what we say, let us know. Just comment below in the comments here on YouTube.
Hit the little bell.
We have gotten a couple of comments recently on YouTube. We haven't got a lot. We have gotten some. We've addressed those. If you want us to answer you directly and instantly, please comment on YouTube. We love the Facebook banter back and forth, but we absolutely love the YouTube banter.
And if you have any ideas for discussion topics, please. We sit around here for a couple of hours, at a time before we start filming, just coming up with discussion topics if we don't have anything planned, and we want to hear what y'all want to see.
Let's just go ahead and say this. If you come up with an unbelievable discussion topic and you bring it to us, there's a chance you may sit in with us on it.
Yeah.
If you've got something, and I'm not, you may think that's crap to you, it's huge to us. I want somebody who's going to come in here and, knowledgeable, and if you got a great discussion topic, there's a chance you're going to come sit in with us.
I want a topic that's going to, drop my fucking jaw. Like,
and I want a topic that puts us on our heels,
yeah,
puts us in our place, and bring the heat.
I want to be challenged. I'm not trying to sound cocky. I want to be challenged on something, to discuss something. It's not. I don't feel like it's going to be easy for me to discuss.
I want someone that's going to take me out back and attempt to whoop my ass and I get to fight back.
Yeah,
that's
we
what
want
I
that challenge.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we can't do it on our own. We need
Bring
your
it
help.
on.
Hit subscribe. Please comment, guys. We're closing out. Have a good night.